Chapter 43-24. Chu didn't say anything. Layla got up, turned around and stood up slowly. Her hair was the same length as Huomin's. However, the look in his eyes was completely different from Huomin's. Chu had known Huomin for so many years, but he had never seen such a seductive gaze. So, you've already guessed who I am, right? Before Chu could say anything, Layla smiled again. Actually, you saw through it a long time ago, didn't you? Otherwise, you wouldn't have treated me like this. Yes. Chu admitted it openly. I'm curious. Even though I've been a little overboard recently, I didn't reveal any flaws in the beginning. So, when did you discover my identity? Layla twirled a strand of her hair with her left hand and looked at Chu with a smile. Chu leaned against the pillar in the living room with one hand in his pocket, as if he wasn't afraid of Layla at all. I found out at the Yunnan hospital. That's impossible. At that time I thought I did it flawlessly. Besides, in such a short time, how could you? Hearing Chu's words, Layla obviously didn't believe him. She was very confident in her disguise, so when Chu said that he had seen through her at that time, she found it ridiculous. You can believe it or not. Believe it or not, Mian and I, we've known each other since high school. Later we got married and had children. After being together for many years, our relationship has surpassed the most ordinary relationship between a man and a woman. We're like family to each other. Therefore, when facing a woman that I care about so much, I know everything about her, including her thoughts. As for you, no matter how much you try to imitate her, you're still slightly different from her. That feeling of unfamiliarity still exists. If there's one person in the world who can recognize Mian, it's probably only me, because I love her deeply enough and because I'm too obsessed with her. After hearing Chu's words, Layla was a little dazed. As a high-grade clone, she did not have any emotions. Masai was right. Layla's feelings for Chu came from the memories she shared with Huomin. However, it wasn't something he experienced personally, so it wasn't real. It was like a person dreaming of eating a delicious cake. Although it tasted wonderful, they wouldn't remember the taste of the cake when they woke up. Only those who had eaten the cake and tried it themselves would remember that feeling forever. Therefore, this was the most obvious difference between Layla and Huomin. So you're really infatuated with her. No wonder she trusts you so much. If I knew you'd be broken so early, I wouldn't have had to induce labor and kill the baby. How troublesome. Layla had always thought that she was a high-level species and was smarter than humans. But judging from this incident, Chu wasn't any more stupid than she was. I've already tested that dead baby. It's not my child. Oh. Layla was slightly startled. She didn't expect Chu to keep evidence of the dead baby. You're really meticulous. No wonder Huomin fell in love with you. You're so outstanding that even I'm tempted. I thought I could use her to have fun with you. Haha, but now it seems like there's no hope. So you targeted Suyu. You wanted to use Suyu to destroy my relationship with Suyu, destroy my relationship with Mian, and destroy her reputation? Chu questioned coldly. Chapter 43-25. Layla raised her chin and looked at Chu provocatively. What else can I do? What else do I have to play with? From her contemptuous tone, one could tell that she thought this was a fun game. She wanted to toy with Chu and Suyu. Unfortunately, this man was far more powerful than she had imagined. So what do you want? You want to find out my purpose just like that? Layla licked her lips with a playful expression. Chu naturally knew that she wouldn't say it so easily, so he didn't have much hope. It doesn't matter if you tell me or not. I came here today to say that you're wasting time here, but you can't complete the mission your master gave you. As for you, if you leave there and are replaced by Mian, I'm afraid you won't be able to go back. Even if you go back, there won't be a place for you, right? Chu spoke tactfully and vaguely. He didn't say the main point directly, but Layla understood immediately. What do you know? Layla looked at Chu warily and put away her contemptuous smile. I know far more than you think. Do you believe me? Chu also played a guessing game with her. Layla naturally didn't dare to be careless, because Chu's words had indeed touched her heart. Layla looked at Chu with a gloomy expression. Dr. Linya hasn't treated you well all these years, right? Does it feel good to be used? Do you know how pitiful the end result is? Don't try to sow discord between me and Master. You're not worthy. At the mention of Linya, Layla no longer seemed so calm. Instead, she was angry. From her tone, It seemed that she respected and feared Linya very much. I think that since you're so smart you should know the pros and cons. You're dealing with ordinary people like us here, but you don't dare to think that you've already lost your former status. It's undeniable that perhaps the moment you carried out the mission, you were already abandoned by Dr. Linya. That's impossible. The Lord will not give up on me. Qin Chu, do you believe that I can send you to hell in a matter of minutes? Layla's speed was so fast that he couldn't see her move clearly. It was almost within a second. Her hand gripped Qin Chu's neck tightly. And that kind of strength was even greater than that of an adult man. Of course, Qin Chu was not afraid. This was what he had expected. It doesn't matter if you kill me. We don't have much power to fight back against you. It's just that. If you wanted to kill me you would have done it long ago. You didn't have to wait until now. I'm sure it's Dr. Linya's idea that you haven't done anything. Aren't you afraid of angering her if you kill me now? In fact, Qin Chu's words were just tentative guesses. After all, he knew very little. And all of this was only because he had heard from Qiao Fei that Linya might be the mastermind. Qin Chu had always had a high IQ and an active mind, so it wasn't difficult for him to deduce what would happen next. Of course, he was now relying on his own guesses to test Layla's reaction and continue to deduce what would happen next. All was fair in war. Layla gripped Qin Chu's neck tightly with her eyes wide open. She didn't let go, but she didn't use any strength either. The two of them were silent, facing each other. Chapter 43-26. Seeing that it was a rare opportunity, Qin Chu added another dose of salt. He said, Dr. Linya created you because she missed her daughter. That's why you're so similar to Mion. But no matter how outstanding you are, you're just a substitute. Now that Mion has returned to her biological mother's side, you have lost your value. You can kill me at any time, but I dare say that Dr. Linya can kill you at any time, right? Qin Chu's words made Layla's hair stand on end. Deep within her body, there seemed to be something trembling. Qin Chu was very satisfied with the flash of horror in her eyes. This was the effect he wanted. Qin Chu, who do you think you are? Don't be so self-righteous. This was the first time Qin Chu had seen such a fierce gaze from Layla. He must have really touched her bottom line. Qin Chu only smiled. If I'm wrong you won't be so angry. So what if you're right? Your wife and unborn child aren't by your side right now. And you can't do anything to me. You know that I've killed a lot of people, but you can't stop me, right? You humans are all a bunch of cowards. All of you are low-level species. Layla's contemptuous attitude was displayed again. As a high-level clone, she was Linya's perfect test subject for more than 10 years. She was also an existence that surpassed humans. Layla had always thought that she was superior. However, it doesn't matter if she's not by my side. After all, Dr. Linya is Mion's biological mother. She won't do anything to her biological daughter. But you're different. If you can't complete your mission or do something wrong, I'm afraid you won't just be punished, right? Clang. Layla couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed Qin Chu's neck and threw him away. Qin Chu landed heavily on the floor. Fortunately, his physical fitness was not bad. Otherwise, this fall would definitely cause internal injuries to his internal organs. His words kept provoking Layla. However, he knew that this woman wouldn't dare to kill him. At least, without Linya's permission, she wouldn't dare to do anything. It was also because he saw through this that Qin Chu dared to negotiate with Layla so brazenly. You know that angering me won't do you any good. Layla looked coldly at Qin Chu, who was slowly getting up from the ground. You're wrong. I'm here today to talk to you about cooperation. I'm not here to anger you. Cooperation? Ah. Are you crazy? Who do you think you are? You want to cooperate with me? I know that apart from being Dr. Linya's puppet, you also have your own forces. Doomsday Death God is yours, right? Qin Chu guessed again. Layla's eyes slightly. This man was really Doomsday Reaper was Layla's of the world. It was Layla who wanted to travel around the world. Of course, it was also to work for Linya. That was why she nurtured her own force. And she was the boss of Doomsday Reaper was. The man who had saved Zhao Qingya was just a small fry in the Doomsday Reaper's team. So what if it's mine? You have your Doomsday Reaper and I have my Brotherhood Alliance. If you're willing to help me, I can give you benefits. Oh? Your so-called benefits are? Layla smiled, thinking that this man was very brave. He knew that she was a monster, but he still came to negotiate. His courage was extraordinary. Chapter 43-27. To get you out of Dr. Linya's control and set you free. Huh. Layla's demonic laughter came from the screaming villa. It made one's hair stand on end. Chin Chu looked at her quietly. Are you kidding me? You mean, you want me to betray the master and the mother who created me? Layla used the word mother, which showed that she still had feelings for Linya. Let me correct you. She's Mion's mother, not yours. And you are not Mion. Chin Chu poured cold water on her. Isn't that the same? If Huamin dies, I'll be the only one. Do you think Dr. Linya will let her daughter die? Chin Chu sneered. Don't tell me you're so naive to think that the master asked Huamin to go back because she missed her daughter. You're so naive. Layla looked at Chin Chu with disdain. She felt that what they knew was only the tip of the iceberg. Chin Chu walked over unhurriedly and approached Layla step by step. At this sensitive moment, the closer he got to Layla, the more he realized that other than looking like Mion, she really did look like Mion. She didn't look like Mion at all, including the dangerous aura on her. It was a feeling that Huamin had never felt. There was only peace, tranquility, and warmth on Mion. Are you still not going to admit it? If you give up this opportunity, then no one will help you in the future. Don't you know what kind of person Linya is? It's because she's willing to harm her own daughter, let alone a fake like you. Wake up. I don't need you to tell me what Linya's goal is, nor do I need you to tell me your ultimate goal. Even if you destroy Earth and control the world, it has nothing to do with me. Then what you want is... Layla narrowed her eyes and looked at the man in front of her. As expected of the man she liked. He was indeed outstanding and had a unique charm. Chin Chu took a deep breath. Then he answered her in a gentle tone. I just want my wife and children to come home. He thought of his wife whom he hadn't seen for a long time, and the baby whose safety he didn't know. Chin Chu felt like his heart was about to break. He only hoped that there would be some results from dealing with this woman. Otherwise, the road to finding a wife would be too long. He really didn't know how long his perseverance could last. Layla might not have thought that Chin Chu's wish was so simple. Therefore he was also stunned for a moment. Then her face was filled with jealousy. How is she worthy of you treating her like this? It's worth it everywhere. Pa Huamin sure is lucky. She doesn't look that good and her brain isn't that great either. But there are so many men who are willing to sacrifice themselves for her. Huasiqian detonated explosives for her and blew himself into pieces. Suyu was willing to be her backup for the rest of his life. And then there's you, her perfect husband, who is always thinking about her. I'm so jealous that I could die. How is it? You can consider my proposal. You think too simply of master. With just you and your so-called brotherly alliance, you won't be able to deal with her. Don't even think about it. Layla grew up by Linya's side and knew her abilities too well. What if we add the professor? Professor? You mean Lu? Layla was slightly taken aback. She had never seen the professor before, but Layla knew that he was a very powerful man. He was also the only man Linya had given birth to a child for all these years. Chapter 43-28. Istanbul, Turkey. Two blonde girls in almost transparent golden gauze dresses knelt on the ground with glasses of red wine in their hands. Yin seemed to be in a good mood. He had recently received a large order and earned more than 1 billion yuan from firearms alone. He had always known that he was a layman who loved money. Because he had money, he could have everything. Now, in addition to all kinds of illegal transactions, he also controlled the Middle East Bitcoin exchange market. Without Liu Yan finding trouble, his business was much better. However, he always felt that life seemed to lack passion. Brother Ian, you made so much money this time. Aren't you going to treat me to a drink? The religious fanatic Levis smiled slyly. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that he and Ian were in cahoots. Of course, you can choose whatever you want from my wine cabinet. That's great. But it seems that you've been lucky recently. You're in a good mood. Levis continued to laugh arrogantly. The corners of Ian's mouth curled up slightly. His black godfather outfit reached the ground. He picked up a glass of wine from the girl's hand and slowly walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. I'm not like my brother Nolo. After Huasiqian died, he was sad as if he had lost a close friend. Yes. Is Huasiqian really dead? That guy seems very cunning. Levis was puzzled. It's confirmed. He's completely dead this time. Doomsday Reaper did it? Levis continued to ask. Should be. My people didn't see the incident in Yunnan, China with their own eyes. They only heard about it and later investigated. However, it said that Qin Chu has already done a DNA comparison of the bodies there and confirmed that it's him. That guy died really tragically. There's no corpse left. Ian smiled from beginning to end. Indeed, he didn't have any pity for Hu Xiqian. However, his brother Nalo seemed to be very sad about Hu Xiqian's death. Sir, a guest wants to see you. Ian's subordinate suddenly came to report. A guest who can come here to visit me. What a rare guest. During Ian's time in Istanbul, not only did he sell firearms, but he also incited the local reactionaries to go against the government. Therefore, the situation in Turkey was in chaos, and tourists from all over the world were almost nowhere to be seen. They were all afraid that this place would become a war-torn country like Iraq and Syria. Ian put down his wine glass and was curious about the visitor. As his fair-weather friend, Reeves also acted as a bystander. The two of them walked towards the villa's main hall. Qiao Fei came alone. He didn't bring any of his men with him. In fact, when Qiao Fei arrived in Turkey, he first went to the capital, Ankara. Then he left all his men in Ankara and came to see Ian alone. Qiao Fei? Ian couldn't believe his eyes. A while ago, Qiao Fei and Lu Yen had ruined his plans several times. He was being hunted down by his men. Now this guy was actually standing alone in his territory in broad daylight. Even he was starting to wonder if this was a disguise. Was he carrying a suicide bomb? Therefore Ian was immediately on guard. Don't be afraid. It's me, not a disguise. There's no suicide bomb. Don't worry. Qiao Fei seemed to see through Ian's thoughts at a glance. He knew what he was thinking. So, are you here to die? Are you tired of living? Ian was still smiling. Reeves held a string of black beads in his hand, looking like he was watching a show. Chapter 43-29. No, I haven't lived long enough. Qiao Fei's tone was calm. He didn't sound like he was about to go through a life-and-death battle in enemy territory. The weather in Turkey wasn't that cold. Therefore, Qiao Fei didn't have the chance to wear his navy blue Russian double-breasted military uniform. He only wore a pair of army green camouflage pants and a black short-sleeved t-shirt. This outfit was very similar to the equipment of the special forces in the country. However, the short silver hair on his head was too eye-catching. Then why are you? Ian continued to ask with a smile. I'm here to negotiate. Negotiate? You and Lu Yen have been ruining my plans, causing me to suffer heavy losses and blowing up many of my territories. Now that you want to reconcile, you come back and negotiate with me. Do you think there's such a good deal in the world? Or do you think I'm easy to talk to? Let's not talk about your losses first. Let's talk about this project. Wait, are you here on behalf of Lu Yen? Ian wasn't interested in Qiao Fei, but he had worked with Qiao Fei's second brother before. However, Qiao Nen suddenly disappeared in Southeast Asia and still hadn't been found. The entire Qiao family in Russia was in chaos. The eldest brother, Qiao Imo, had already gone into seclusion to have a child and refused to come out. Now the Qiao family had been relying on Qiao Fei's father. Stop fooling around. The whole world knows that Yen is missing. Ian, don't waste my time, okay? Seems like the wild cat is really missing. I really thought it was a trap. I didn't believe it. She is indeed missing, Qiao Fei stated calmly. So your purpose of cooperating with me this time is to help you find Lu Yen? Ian knew the relationship between Qiao Fei and Lu Yen, so he thought that this man had no choice but to come to him for help. No, that's not it. That's interesting. Young Master Qiao. Are you here to joke with me? I don't have a good temper. If you piss me off, you might not be able to leave today. Ian felt that this kid was provoking him by coming alone. He was looking down on his authority, so he was naturally unhappy. Not to mention that Levis was watching from the side. So he wanted to quietly show off. Unexpectedly, Qiao Fei didn't say anything and only smiled. Then he reached into his pocket. Ian's men were so frightened that they immediately took out their guns and aimed at Qiao Fei. They all thought that he was carrying some dangerous weapon. Unexpectedly, what he took out in the end was a lollipop. And it was written in Chinese, "Made in China." Qiao Fei slowly tore open the packaging of the lollipop and put it in his mouth. Just like a child. His attitude was relaxed and he didn't seem to be afraid at all. Ian and Reeves naturally knew that they had been nervous for nothing. Ian, since I've come to find you, I'm naturally prepared. Whether you believe me or not. If I can't get out of here safely, all of you will die here with me. So don't doubt my words. Are you threatening me? Ian smiled. No, I'm warning you. You can try if you don't believe me. It seems like you've learned a lot from the wild cat. Ian thought Xiao Fei's personality was similar to Lu Yan's. They were both arrogant and domineering. Cut the crap, I'm not here to catch up with you. Ian, I want to know, what exactly do you want from Professor Lu? Ian's smile deepened when he heard that. But why should I tell you? Reeves turned to look at Ian. It's true, that's right. Hearing that it was true, Ian was even more ecstatic. Kid, alright, I agree to your request. First, tell me what you're looking for. Second, help me find Lu Yan. No problem. In fact, I miss Lu Yan, that little wildcat too. Huh. Ian couldn't help but blurt out his thoughts. Chapter 43:31. But when he looked at Xiao Fei's murderous eyes, Ian immediately shut his mouth. Ian quickly shut his mouth. He knew that the Xiao family's kid had always had a bad temper. So he didn't dare to joke about Lu Yan. 5 minutes later, in the secret room of Ian's mansion, the two walked in and Ian poured a glass of wine with great interest. But Xiao Fei didn't drink. I don't have much time. Hurry up and tell me. I don't have the patience to deal with you. You might not believe me if I tell you, but I want to catch Professor Lu. The thing I'm looking for. I don't even know what it's called. Are you kidding me? Xiao Fei made a fuss. No. I'm not lying to you. I swear on my head. But I know that thing in Professor Lu's hands is very powerful. Once you get it, you can control the world. That powerful? Xiao Fei was skeptical. How come he didn't know that Uncle Lu had such a powerful thing? Also, he had never heard Lu Yan mention it. He only knew that many forces had been after Professor Lu all these years. Xiao Fei had always thought that Professor Lu had some kind of medicine formula, such as a cure for cancer and AIDS. But now that he heard Ian say that if he got the thing in Uncle Lu's hands he could control the world, this obviously wasn't some kind of medicine formula. It seemed that he was still too naive. Then Ian said, since you're offering such a sincere thing in exchange, I'll tell you more. The thing in Professor Lu's hands is a biochemical weapon. Do you know what a biochemical weapon is? It's something that governments all over the world want. Russia once sent a lot of spies to try to get close to him, but they were all killed by the FBI. Of course, the US government wants it too, but they're smarter. They've been keeping track of the professor's whereabouts in the name of protection. So, I'm not sure if the thing is in the hands of the US government or the professor. Other forces have been trying to catch him. I'm just joining in the fun. Actually, if I told you that I've been chasing Lu Yan all these years because I really love her, would you believe me? Ian's words were always both righteous and evil. If you say something like that to me again, I'll beat you up until your mom can't recognize you. Xiao Fei glared at Ian coldly. Bro, relax. Don't be so serious. Xiao Fei remained silent. Okay, I've told you everything you want to know. Now tell me, how can I help you find Lu Yan? Find out about Doomsday Reaper at all costs. They must have something to do with Yan's disappearance. As far as I know, Doomsday Reaper's men are in Paris, France. You better investigate carefully. No problem. As long as you can provide me with HPZ2, anything is negotiable. That's all then. Let me know if you have any news. Then Xiao Fei turned around and walked out. Hey bro, aren't you going to have some steak before you leave? Ian teased. If it's your arrangement, I'm willing to give it a try. Ian, an underwater palace on the other side of the earth. Even though Professor Lu knew that Linya had ulterior motives, he still treated her gently. She didn't hate her mother as much as Huamin did. Linya took the professor's hand and went to one of her secret experimental bases. When he saw the white cave filled with gigantic silkworm-like things, his scalp went numb. Old Lu, guess what this is? Linya smiled slightly. Chapter 43:32. They're all clones you made, right? Old Lu, you're indeed the man who knows me the best. Linya's words were filled with pride, thinking that this was something worth bragging about. Professor Lu's eyes were indeed extremely complicated. Although cloning technology had been banned, many countries were still researching it. This was not a secret. However, there was only one person in the world like Linya, who did research in her own hands and produced it on such a large scale. From this, it could be seen how crazy Linya was. Where did you get so many? Professor Lu looked at the human cocoons wrapped in silk and felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. Linya only smiled faintly. My people are naturally 1 in 1,000,000. These are all selected from the gene banks of various countries around the world through hacking technology. Then I sent people to steal them. Although the process is a little complicated, it's good that it's all as I wish. How long have you been doing this? About 7 or 8 years. It's been so long. When do you plan to wake these clones up? Professor Lu asked Linya. After hearing this, Linya began to act coquettishly with Professor Lu. She hugged Professor Lu's waist like an old couple. How many years had it been since he had seen Linya act coquettishly like a little girl? To be honest, the professor was really moved. Back when Linya's accident happened, he had been sad for many days and nights. If it weren't for the fact that he wanted to study the technology to revive Linya, he would have really wanted to die and accompany Linya in the afterlife. Old Lu, you really hit the nail on the head. This is why I really want to ask you for the red demon. I've studied it for so many years, but I've never been able to solve a problem. What? Linya bit her lips and said in a low voice, these clones are perfect on the surface, even more perfect than the original body because they have some special abilities that are not human. Some are extremely strong and some have excellent memories. However, all of them, or rather all the clones, have a flaw. The professor did not say anything and only listened quietly to Linya's explanation. Linya glanced at the professor and paused for a moment before continuing, they can't eat normally. Then what do they rely on to survive? The professor hit the nail on the head. There was another 5 seconds of silence. Linya Kai said slowly, they eat humans. This sentence really surprised the professor. Eating people was such a simple word, but it came out of Linya's mouth so easily. The professor reacted quickly and immediately asked Linya, so the Layla you released, that's right. She's been eating humans for a living. That's the only bottleneck I haven't been able to break through all these years. You can say that my experiment failed or that my skills aren't that high. I didn't want it to be like this either. But since they've already formed, they're like my children. I can't bear to destroy them myself. Layla has all the flaws of clones. She's extremely ferocious, especially when she's looking for food. She's very bloody and violent. She eats hearts and drinks blood to survive. Linya, do you know what you're saying? This was the first time the professor called Linya by her full name after reuniting with her. Linya felt a little unfamiliar with the professor. Chapter 43-33. Old Lu. I know you won't agree with what I'm doing, but I created these children because I want to live forever. I want to see if I can transfer genes. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it. Linya pretended to be pitiful to clear her name. Unfortunately, the professor didn't buy it. Linya, don't call these children monsters. In nature, except for the mindless beasts, no species eats humans for a living. Even wolves won't attack humans easily. What you're doing is not only against morality but also against the laws of nature. You're selfishly tampering with the food chain. Linya, do you know the consequences of your actions? Old Lu, I'm a woman. There's nothing wrong with me. I told you. You know I've always been vain. I'm afraid I'll grow old. That's right, isn't it? But birth, aging, illness, and death are the laws of nature. What right do you have to destroy them? But I just don't want to grow old or die. Is that wrong? Linya's voice also became a little excited. Of course it's not wrong. What's wrong is that you're trampling on other people's lives for your own benefit. Tell me, how many clones have you released? Linya was silent. You don't dare to tell me? No. Only 2 at the moment. One is Jingda002 and the other is Layla. Aren't you a servant here? They're not. They're all humans. According to Linya, Layla was the only scourge she had released. Jingda had been killed by Qin Chu and was no longer alive, so he couldn't be killed. But would the professor believe her words? Old Lu, I really didn't plan to release these children. Linya pointed at the thousands of human pupae hanging there, as if she was trying to calm Professor Lu down. Seeing that Professor Lu didn't speak, Linya reached out and gently shook his arm. Old Lu, I know you love me the most, but I can't allow you to do anything evil, the professor replied decisively. I know. I won't do it either. I just want a recipe for immortality. Back then we developed Red Demon together, but I quit for some reason. All these years I know that you've already succeeded in your research. In fact, a biochemical weapon like Red Demon will definitely harm the world. I know that you have your reasons for not taking it out. I don't want Red Demon to control anyone or any faction. I actually just want a material that can't be regenerated from Red Demon. You're talking about a crystal or? Professor Luke. That's it. All these years I've had my people search the entire world, but I haven't found a second crystal or of the same kind. So it's the same as your analysis back then. This stone is a product left behind by an alien and can't be regenerated. After all, it's not something from Earth. You know that kind of war. Because it has a special power, it can improve the bloodthirsty gene in my clones. I only hope that they won't eat humans for a living. At least Layla is innocent. Back then, because I missed my daughter Mion, I selfishly created her. She looks exactly like our daughter Mion. Do you have the heart to let her continue to be a monster? With tears in her eyes, Linya began her best actress performance. Chapter 43-34. You created Layla because you missed your daughter. I can understand that. What about Jingde? What was his original intention when he was released? The professor looked at Linya's face calmly. It was as if he wanted to see through this woman in an instant. Linya didn't seem to expect that the honest Professor Lu in her eyes had become so difficult to deal with as time passed. Back then, when they were together, her old Lu had always obeyed her every word. He wanted nothing more than to be her manservant, to be ordered around by her. Now the honest man was no longer honest. He reacted quickly. This made Linya somewhat displeased. I cloned Jingde for the good of our daughter Mion. Think about it. It wasn't easy for that young girl to raise Mion. After she lost her husband, she never remarried. She's really pitiful, so I thought of using my own method to resurrect Jingde and reunite their family. Your intention is really good. Professor Lu smiled and continued to ask Linya. You knew that Jingde was a failed experiment and would eat humans to survive, but you still put such a dangerous person by our daughter's side. What were you thinking at that time? I didn't think about this at that time. Really, old Lu. Believe me, no matter what, I won't hurt our daughter. Do you know that if it weren't for me, Mion's child would have been lost? Linya took the opportunity to take credit from the professor. But at this moment, the professor was indeed saying that if it weren't for her, Mion and her child wouldn't be in danger at all. They might have been born long ago. However, Professor Lu didn't say this to Linya. Yo, where's Yen? I want to see her. At the mention of Lu Yan's eyes flashed. I sent Yen out to do something for me. She's not back yet. Oh, I see. Can I see Mion? Okay, I'll ask Messiah to send you over now. Linya didn't stop Professor Lu from seeing his daughter. Strangely, she didn't follow him. Instead, she asked Messiah to send Professor Lu to Huamin's room. Linya, on the other hand, seemed to have something else to do. In C City. Hubby, is little Ajin asleep? Cece was wearing beige pajamas, sitting on the sofa with a mask on her face and watching TV. Rick carefully held his daughter in his arms. He didn't dare to make any noise as if he was afraid of scaring her. Even his footsteps were as light as possible. Sure enough, once a mafia boss turned into a slave to his daughter, he was much more adorable than anyone else. In the past, Rick only thought that the twins were cute, but he couldn't feel Chinchu's love for his daughters. Now that he had become a father, he finally understood this wonderful feeling. It was truly an indescribable wonder if one did not experience it personally. Yes, she's sleeping very soundly. Let's not wake her up. That won't happen. Our daughter is a little pig. She sleeps very soundly. Cece took the baby and carefully placed him in the crib. I'm going out tomorrow. Are we going back to America again? Cece was a little disappointed. After she got together with Rick, Cece was always worried about her personal gains and losses. After all, Rick's identity was special, so it was impossible for him not to be busy. Cece had fantasized countless times that one day Rick wouldn't be in this line of work anymore. He would live a simple life with her. The two of them would open a coffee shop on a street corner in this city. Then they would live a carefree life like gods. Unfortunately, no, I'm going to do Chinchu a favor. Chapter 43-35. What's wrong? Did President Qin encounter any difficulties? Cece was surprised. She didn't know anything about Chinchu and Huamin. Plus, after giving birth, she was afraid of agitating Huamin. so she didn't dare to send Huamin WeChat messages anymore. Yeah, it's just a small matter. Don't worry, it won't be dangerous. Then come back soon. Cece wrapped her arms around Rick's broad waist like a child. Ever since Rick gave birth to Cece, he had doted on her even more. It was almost to the point of treating her like his precious baby. Perhaps it was because he had seen how difficult it was for a woman to give birth. Therefore, Rick had already decided to treat Cece even better. After Rick left, Cece felt bored, so she called her sister and came to her house to accompany her. After Xian came back, she was very busy. When she came to Cece's house, she had just finished recording a show at a TV station. You only think of me after your man left. You're a classic example of valuing your man over your sister. Xian laughed at her. It's not the first time I've valued my man over my sister. Are you going to use this to slander me for the rest of my life? Cece laughed. I'm not going to talk nonsense with you. I want to see my niece. Little Jean is already asleep. So early. It's not early. Look, it's almost 11 o'clock. It's so late. I'm so confused. Xian slapped her forehead. Sis, I really don't understand. Even if you don't like living abroad anymore, you don't have to come back. Your income from those years is enough for our family to spend for the rest of our lives. Dad and Mom just want you to be happier and more relaxed. Why did you come back to the entertainment industry? Cece actually didn't agree with her sister coming back. She always felt that it was better to live an ordinary life. Xian took off her coat and picked up a sugar orange from the table. As she peeled it, she said, "You don't understand. I really like acting. I'm not doing it for money or fame." Really? Why do I feel like it has something to do with Suyu? It's really not. Then you think you've given up on Suyu? Yes. You're lying. If you really gave up, why didn't you find a boyfriend? Cece obviously didn't believe her sister. I say, my good sister, it's not that easy to find a man these days. Do you think it's like buying cabbages? I'm already so old, I have to find a good boyfriend. That's true. I'll ask my Rick to introduce you to one tomorrow. Don't. I can't afford it. Those people around brother-in-law are not suitable for me. I'll find one myself. Sis, have you heard about Suyu and Han Yueyao? Are you talking about the new girl in our company? Yeah, she's really popular these days. She's been doing a lot of commercials. I saw on Weibo that she just accepted the role of a luxury brand's spokesperson in the Greater China region. She's amazing. She has a good temperament, good looks, and is popular now. It's normal for her to take on this kind of advertisement. But Big Sister is also very good. Why doesn't Suyu like you but her? After reading the gossip, Cece thought Han Yueyao was Suyu's new lover. Like all the other onlookers, Xian stuffed a small piece of orange into her mouth and replied calmly, "Maybe he has feelings for that girl." Sis, you've really gotten over it. Yeah, I've gotten over it. That's great. I really don't have to worry about you any. Cece moved over and sat down beside her sister. At this moment, Han Yueyao was working late at the company after shooting some commercials. After finishing her work, she walked out of the company in a daze with her bag and was stopped by someone. "Miss Han, right? Our boss wants to treat you to tea," a man in a black suit said expressionlessly. Chapter 43-36. Who's your boss? I don't know him. Han Yueyao didn't know many people in this city and didn't go to bars or nightclubs, so she didn't know any bosses. But, before she could say anything, the man picked her up and stuffed her into the black Mercedes-Benz. Help. Before she could say the word help, Han Yueyao fell silent. Because the man in the car had a dagger pressed against her ribs. The pain of the dagger piercing her ribs was especially obvious. There were underground forces in every city. Although the gangs weren't as rampant as before, they still existed. However, they really did exist. It was just that they were running a certain company on the outside and were using it as a cover. The underworld bosses had also become the bosses of some shell companies. From there, they laundered money and did things like robbers and prostitutes. Han Yueyao was smart and didn't want to suffer physical pain. So she could only calm down for the time being and wait and see. In a mansion in the western New City, the decoration was luxurious and it was all European-style furniture. However, there were too many gorgeous things which had the opposite effect. The main color was rich gold, so it was obvious that the owner didn't have good taste. "Boss, she's here." Good. In the living room, A short and fat middle-aged man stood up with a smile. His hair was a little thin but not bald. He was wearing a flowery shirt with a big Thai Buddha plaque on his chest and a pair of red casual shoes. His style was a little exaggerated, but it was said that many rich people liked to dress like this. Miss Han, my subordinate was a little rude. Were you scared when he asked you to come? The man smiled at Han Yueyao. Do we know each other? Han Yueyao was sure that she didn't know this person. She had never seen him, interacted with him, or offended him. I know you, but you don't know me, the man said with a smile. Then, have I offended you before? Han Yueyao asked carefully. After all, she had heard that these gangsters were very vengeful. She wondered if she had accidentally offended him before. No. Then you kidnapped me, to extort ransom? To be honest, I really don't have much money now. You can check it out. I'm a small celebrity who just became famous. I'm not even a B-list celebrity. At most, I'm a C-list celebrity. Most of my money is in the company, so I really don't have much money. Han Yueyao began to complain about being poor. Miss Han is too humorous. The man laughed out loud when he heard this. Han Yueyao felt disgusted when she saw his big golden teeth. After laughing, the man pointed to the table on the other side and said, Don't be afraid. I just want to treat Miss Han to supper today. Thank you, but I'm not that hungry and I need to maintain my figure. Han Yueyao wasn't stupid and wouldn't casually eat other people's food. What if the food was tampered with? It's okay. I won't drug it. Don't worry. Seeing her hesitation, the man walked to the table first. Seeing that she didn't move, the man's subordinate threatened her with a cold face. Miss Han, you have to rely on your face to make a living. You'd better not offend our boss. Otherwise, we can't guarantee what we'll do to you. Hearing his words, Han Yueyao immediately followed him to the dining room. As the saying went, a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. Han Yueyao knew it wasn't an ordinary supper. This was a fucking banquet. At this moment she suddenly had a strange thought. She really hoped that Suyu could come and save her. Chapter 43-37. Of course, this thought only flashed through her mind. Han Yueyao couldn't count on Suyu to save her. After all, she didn't have a deep relationship with Suyu. At best, their relationship was that of a boss and a subordinate. Come have a bite with me. The gangster looked at Han Yueyao secretly. Han Yueyao glanced at the dishes on the table and was stunned. It was the middle of the night. Why was he eating such greasy food? Sweet and sour pork ribs, soy sauce pork trotters, pork elbow, boiled fish. But looking at these dishes, one could tell how many calories they were. Han Yueyao's subtext was, Damn it, I told you you're fat, but you're eating such greasy food in the middle of the night. It would be strange if you lost weight. What? You don't like it? Old man, bring the bird's nest soup for Miss Han. Yes. No. I'm really not hungry. You can eat. Han Yueyao waved her hands. The man's face was oily as he looked at Han Yueyao lecherously. Miss Han, I'm your hardcore fan. I follow you on Weibo. I was your fan when you first appeared in Dancing Allure. Later, I watched all the commercials you took on and bought all the products you endorsed. I heard you even took on a movie. Don't worry, it's worth it even if I buy the entire theater to increase the box office for you. Thank you. You're much older than me, so I'll call you uncle. Han Yueyao's words almost choked the rich man. All the beauties, models, and celebrities he had met before had called him brother. This damned girl called him uncle the moment she came up. It was a little frustrating. Actually, you can call me Big Brother Wong. I'm not that old. I'm only a few years older than you. The rich man was a little embarrassed and corrected Han Yueyao. How can I? My mom told me when I was young to respect the old and love the young. You're an elder, so I can't be so rude. How about I call you Grandpa Wong? Just call me uncle. The man didn't know what to do with Han Yueyao. It was his first time seeing a female celebrity speak so bluntly, and he was a little uncomfortable. Han Yueyao secretly took out her phone while talking to him. But as soon as he took it out, it was discovered. Miss Han's phone seems to be out of battery. Go charge it. Yes, boss. Her subordinate rudely snatched her cell phone from her hand, and her heart turned cold. It seemed like he didn't even have the chance to ask for help. Miss Han, to be honest, when I first saw you on TV, I was mesmerized by you. You're just a small star at Imperial Star, right? It'll take some time for you to become a big star. Why don't you be with me? I won't hold you back from acting. I can buy you a mansion, a sports car. I'll give you a few million yuan every month. What do you think? Uncle, I don't understand. Han Yueyao played dumb. Our boss has taken a liking to you and wants to keep you, the man named Ah who behind him fiercely interrupted. When she heard the word sugar daddy, she almost threw up. Uncle, I don't think it's appropriate. We're in different generations. Han Yueyao pretended to be calm and smiled. The man lowered his head and said as he poured tea into his cup, "You're a smart girl, so I won't beat around the bush with you. My king has been in Sea City for many years and everyone knows me. Even the director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau has to give me some face. There were some small celebrities who didn't know how to behave and didn't listen to me. Later, after my men took turns with them and took photos of them, they became obedient. To be honest, Miss Han, I really like you and don't want to treat you that way." Han Yueyao's first reaction was, "Fuck you old fart, threatening me." Chapter 43:38. Uncle, so you're threatening me? Han Yueyao was so angry that she laughed. I don't want to do that either. I hope you can cooperate. The rich man smiled smugly. You're forcing me to do something I don't want to do. That's what you think, fine. Since the rich man dared to kidnap Han Yueyao and threaten her, he must have confidence in himself. Han Yueyao was furious at such a despicable method. But she knew she couldn't flare up. After all, this was his territory. So she could only negotiate tactfully. Since you're my hardcore fan, do you know which company I'm from? Han Yueyao asked with a smile. Of course. You're from Imperial Star Entertainment. Good. Do you know who the boss of Imperial Star Entertainment is? Of course. You're the little devil of the Su family. The old man seemed to know Su Yu quite well and knew that Su Yu was the little devil of the Su family. Han Yueyao almost laughed at the way he called him. She wondered what Su Yu would think if he heard such a comment. Since you know, aren't you afraid that Su Yu will come after you for doing this? Do you know my relationship with Su Yu? Han Yueyao wanted to use Su Yu's reputation to make this old man back off. Unexpectedly, the old man picked up a toothpick and slowly picked his teeth. Then he said secretly, Miss Han, don't play word games with me. I dared to invite you here because I found out the truth. The rumors about you and Su Yu are untrue. You're still staying in Imperial Star's single dorm every night. It's obvious that you're not Su Yu's woman. Su Yu was obsessed with the female director at Southside. Then, he seemed to have an affair with his female artist, Miss Nia. So if you want to use Su Yu's reputation to scare me, you'd better save it. Han Yueyao cursed inwardly. She didn't expect this old man to know so much about this. He wasn't easy to fool. Han Yueyao was anxious, but on the surface she was still talking and laughing. Of course, Su Yu and I aren't in that kind of relationship. But you have to know that I'm currently an artist promoted by Imperial Star. Su Yu is my boss, so of course he'll stand up for me. If I'm wronged outside, President Su won't let it go so easily. Do you think it's appropriate for you to do this? When the old man heard this, he only laughed. Don't worry. Although I've never met Su Yu before, some of my buddies know the little devil of the Su family and can talk to him. She's just an actress. I'll give Su Yu tens of millions of yuan and invest in a movie or something. That'll settle everything. Don't let me down. All these years, none of the women I've played with are worth my effort. You better be a virgin. The old man's words were getting more and more explicit. Han Yueyao really wanted to pick up the porcelain plate on the table and smash it on the old man's head. How about this, uncle? Give me some time. I'll go back and think about it. I'll give you an answer later, okay? Seeing that Su Yu's name didn't work, Han Yueyao tried to stall for time. Girl, do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? Do you think I'll believe your lies? Of course I'll let you go, but tonight, you must sleep here. I'll have someone send you back in the morning. When we're done we can talk about the rest. The old man's simple words chilled Han Yueyao's heart. Chapter 43:39. You're obviously going to use force, aren't you? Han Yueyao smiled mockingly. Of course I don't want to hurt you. So you'd better listen to me and cooperate. Hee hee. You're so old I don't know if you can still do it. Be careful not to die. Seeing how shameless he was, Han Yueyao didn't want to deal with him anymore. She planned to protect her innocence even if she had to risk her life. She couldn't sleep with this old man just because she was afraid. Just thinking about it made her feel disgusted. Don't worry. I can deal with you alone. Although I'm a little old, I take good care of myself. My body is still very healthy. The old man smiled wickedly, making Han Yueyao's scalp tingle. Take her to the room and wait for me. Yes. Don't touch me. Han Yueyao stood up and picked up the fork and knife on the table. It's useless. Do you know what a long-range anesthetic is? With that, the old man took out a tranquilizer gun from somewhere. He aimed it at Han Yueyao. At that moment, Han Yueyao felt a trace of despair. She never thought that she would encounter such a thing one day. At this moment, the door of the mansion was suddenly pushed open. Let her go. Han Yueyao's heart skipped a beat, thinking that it was Su Yu. But when she saw who it was, she froze. Lin Heng was here, and he brought a group of brothers with him. There were about a dozen people behind him. They all had sticks in their hands. Hey, isn't this my old friend Heng? Long time no see. Yao, come here. Lin Heng didn't look very good. Perhaps because he had been hospitalized for too long, he was very thin and haggard. Han Yueyao reacted quickly and immediately ran to Lin Heng's side. Wang-kun, this is my woman. I'm taking her away today. Your woman? Heng. That's not very nice of you. When did you get involved with this woman? I've always kept a low profile. I don't need you to tell me when I'm in a relationship. But if you don't believe me, you can check. My woman paid for my hospitalization. Hee, so what? You look like you're about to die. How can you support your woman? Why don't you leave her to me? I'll take good care of her. The old man was not ashamed at all. He seemed to look down on Lin Heng and the others. Wang-kun, are you fucking shameless? You're older than her father, yet you still want to hit on her. Be careful that you don't catch your breath and die in bed, Lin Heng's subordinate said. Everyone looked down on Wang-kun, the old lecher. He was famous in the city for his love of playing with women, and his methods had always been despicable. Little Heng, I'm your elder after all. I was of the same generation as your father back then. Whether you call me uncle or not, I won't pick on you. I know what kind of mess you're in now. Take your men away and leave the woman behind. I can pretend that you never came and won't pursue the matter. Today I must take my people away. Lin Heng held her arm tightly. She was touched by the sense of security she felt at that moment. She knew that although Lin Heng was a man of few words, he was very reliable. Do you know how you're going to fight against my men with just a dozen people? Tell me, is your blade faster or our spear faster? After Wang-kun said that, his subordinates behind him all took out their pistols. Han Yueyao immediately tensed up. Seeing her fear, Lin Heng pulled her behind him. Don't be afraid. I'm here, he said. That's why when Early Eye and the others called me today and said that you were captured by that old bastard Wang-kun, I knew that it wasn't anything good. I quickly called my brothers over. Luckily you're fine. Aren't you in the hospital? Why did you run out? You're a patient in the ICU. Han Yueyao was really touched. No one had ever treated her so well. Chapter 43-41. Miss Han, you have no idea how crazy Big Brother Lin was when he heard that you were in danger. We told him to wait for news at the hospital while we came to save you, but he was still worried and insisted on coming out on his own. Because of this, he even quarreled with the doctors at Southside and made the nurses cry. Shut up. Don't talk nonsense. Lin Heng was embarrassed, so he quickly told his brothers to shut up and not talk nonsense. Han Yueyao wasn't an ungrateful person and knew how protective Lin Heng was of her. However, she wasn't someone who liked to stir up emotions, so she quickly changed the topic. Today I, Han Yueyao, would like to thank Brother Lin and everyone for saving my life. How about this? I'll treat everyone to Heidaleo. Really, that's great. How much will these people cost? It's not easy for you to earn money. We won't be picky. Lin Heng was naturally considerate of Han Yueyao and didn't want her to spend too much money. It's okay. I'm a small-time celebrity now. Let's go now. With one sentence, Han Yueyao sent 3 cars to the largest restaurant in the city, Heidaleo. The restaurant was open 24 hours a day and the service was excellent. Although the dishes were a little expensive, they were exquisite. For people in the cold north, being able to eat a hot pot at night when the temperature was minus 30 degrees Celsius was a very happy thing. Seeing how determined Han Yueyao was, Lin Heng didn't turn her down in the end. He followed her. More than a dozen people sat in a private room. Han Yueyao felt that a few words couldn't be enough to thank him for saving her life. So she created a WeChat group during the meal. Lin Heng was the group leader and Han Yueyao sent dozens of red packets, causing a rain of red packets. His brothers also kept snatching red packets. Han Yueyao sent out about 50,000 yuan in half an hour. Lin Heng's brothers more or less snatched a few thousand yuan. Everyone was very happy. Money was a small matter. The most important thing was to be angry. Han Yueyao then sent a big red packet with the words, "Lin Heng picks up bag." These brothers were very self-aware and didn't follow suit. Lin Heng opened it and saw that it was an 188 red packet. Han Yueyao sent 5 in a row. Lin Heng didn't want to accept it but everyone cheered. Then he opened it one by one and received the red packets. Han Yueyao was very happy. Everyone ate and drank until 3 in the morning. Lin Heng's SSS sent Han Yueyao's brothers. But 5 minutes after Lin Heng, she received a call from one of Lin Heng's friends. "Mississippi Little Hui, tell me. You're not asleep, are you? Did I disturb you?" "No. Today's big brother Lin." "What notice?" Han Yueyao was surprised. Does know what notice it? What notice?" "It's a notice. TT note T. TT kisses I'm here." Han Yueyao felt that her voice was weak. "Lin Heng really likes you. It's not because he wants to poach you." When Xiao Xiao was around, she was pretty and wanted to sleep with Big Brother Lin, but Big Brother Lin rejected her. We all know that Xiao Xiao is from a rich family. If he could get her, he wouldn't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of his life. But Big Brother Lin doesn't care about that. He's very stubborn and he has to like himself. Till you appeared. Although you rejected him, he still wants to treat you well. He's in such a serious condition now, but he still thinks about you. The brothers are all very touched when they saw this, but the doctor also said that Big Brother Lin's condition is very bad right now. That's impossible. We have to find a kidney for him as soon as possible. There must be a way. Han Yueyao tried not to cry. Chapter 43-42. After hanging up the phone, Han Yueyao couldn't calm down for a long time. Then she made a move. She called Qin Chu in the middle of the night. In fact, Han Yueyao wasn't close to Qin Chu. She was more familiar with Huamin. But last time when she went to GK to see Qin Chu, he told her that Mian wasn't feeling well. So Han Yueyao didn't dare to call Huamin. She could only call Qin Chu. Lin Heng's life was at stake, so she couldn't care less about avoiding suspicion. Fortunately, Qin Chu's cell phone was on 24/7, and he hadn't been sleeping well recently. When he received Han Yueyao's call, Qin Chu was looking at a family photo album on his cell phone. When he saw Mian, tears welled up in his eyes. A familiar melody sounded. Qin Chu glanced at the caller ID and picked up the phone. "Qin Chu, hello? Han Yueyao, President Qin, I apologize in advance. I shouldn't have bothered you so late." "Qin Chu, what's the matter? Speak." "Han Yueyao, I told you about my friend last time. Today the hospital informed him that he's critically ill." Qin Chu didn't speak. "Han Yueyao, he's a very very good person. In this city he and Xiao Xiao are my only true friends, so I don't want anything to happen to him. I heard that you've bought South Side in the first hospital. President Qin, you're a medical genius. Can you think of a way to save my friend? I won't ask for your help for free. I'll pay for the surgery. If you're willing to do the surgery for my friend, I'm willing to pay for it. I won't take advantage of you just because I'm Mian's friend." Afraid that Qin Chu would reject her, Han Yueyao said a lot of things. Qin Chu still didn't speak. Han Yueyao was desperate. She knew that Qin Chu had always been cold and aloof. "Han Yueyao, President Qin, please." "Qin Chu, I've read his medical records. Lin Heng's condition is indeed very bad." "Han Yueyao, do you lack a suitable kidney? If necessary, I can go to the hospital to check if it's suitable." Han Yueyao knew that losing a kidney wasn't life-threatening. If it could save Lin Heng, she was willing to do it. "Qin Chu, it's not about the kidney anymore. Let me put it this way. Even if we find a suitable kidney and perform a kidney transplant on him, his chances of survival are slim." She was startled. "What do you mean?" I've been contacting my professor at Harvard in the States. T. In fact, even if Han Yueyao hadn't asked him today, Qin Chu had planned to call her tomorrow morning. After all, the girl begged him. She was Hua Mian's friend and Su Yu's artist, so he couldn't do anything about it. Qin Chu had analyzed Lin Heng's medical records and asked many authoritative experts to analyze it. Their results were the same. So, Southside issued the notice of critical illness with Qin Chu's tacit consent. Han Yueyao's call to Qin Chu could only confirm the result. It couldn't change anything. Hearing Qin Chu's words, Han Yueyao's voice trembled. President Qin, then my friend is hopeless. She's dead for sure, right? Chapter 43-43. Although Han Yueyao might feel bad if he told her the truth. But Qin Chu wasn't a wishy-washy person. So he only replied with one word, yes. Hey, thank you, President Qin. Han Yueyao endured the immense pain and hung up the phone. Then she cried for a long time until her eyes were red and swollen. She grew up with her parents and had an optimistic attitude. Grandpa, Grandma, and Grandma were still alive. The whole family was happy and harmonious. She had never felt the pain of death so close. So she couldn't bear it for a while. After crying for a long time, Han Yueyao got up to wash her face and remove her makeup. Then she lay on the bed tiredly. It was almost dawn. But she wasn't sleepy at all. It was the first time she couldn't sleep so late. She held her phone and thought for a long time before posting on her WeChat moments. But perhaps she was afraid that Lin Heng would be sad, so she blocked the post from him. Han Yueyao posted a picture of a little monk meditating. It said, "The today you hate will definitely become the yesterday you can't go back to, and the tomorrow some people will never hope for." The words were vague and many people didn't know what they meant. There were quite a lot of likes, but Xiao Xiao didn't reply. She was probably asleep. Yuan Bo, on the other hand, was a night owl. He immediately commented to Han Yueyao. "Now who bullied you? I'll beat him up for you." Han Yueyao replied to Yuan Bo, "Why aren't you asleep?" Yuan Bo smiled and said, "Aren't you awake too?" Han Yueyao didn't reply, nor did she continue to talk to Yuan Bo. Just as she was about to turn off her phone and go to bed, she received a private message on WeChat. It was from Su Yu. "Su Yu, what's wrong?" Han Yueyao, "Su Yu, what do you mean by the ellipsis?" Han Yueyao, "Nothing." Su Yu, "Nothing. Why are you lamenting in the middle of the night instead of sleeping?" Han Yueyao, "I'm just being pretentious." Su Yu, "You don't have any work tomorrow?" Han Yueyao, "Only one. I'm shooting the cover of Rui Shui magazine. It should be quick." Su Yu, "Okay, then go to bed early so that you don't have panda eyes tomorrow." Han Yueyao, "President Su Yu, Han Yueyao, "It's okay. You should rest early." Su Yu, Han Yueyao wanted to say something but didn't in the end. Perhaps she felt that it was inappropriate. She didn't say anything and Su Yu didn't ask. It was a long time later that Su Yu found out. Han Yueyao wanted to say that night. "To you, life isn't easy. You never know which will come first, tomorrow or an accident. Let's not waste any more time. Sister Mian won't get a divorce. Marry me. I'm pretty, I have a good figure, I'm good at cooking, I'm good at showing off my wealth, and most importantly, Mrs. Su likes me." She wanted to strongly promote herself because she suddenly understood something today. Humans were actually the most fragile carbohydrates. They could disappear just like that. She really didn't know if she and Su Yu would have the chance to be together in the future. However, if she was rejected after saying that, not only would she be embarrassed, but Su Yu would also be in a difficult position. Therefore, Han Yueyao suppressed her impulse in time and didn't say those words. Late at night, Qin Chu missed Huimin even more. He tossed and turned in South Hill Manor. He sat in the study and searched for something on the search engine. The weakness of the super-evolved clone. Yes, he had to know Layla's weakness. He couldn't be so passive anymore. He had to fight. He had to bring back his wife and son safely. Chapter 43-44. After flipping through a lot of information, he still couldn't find any flaws that could deal with clones. The few words that could be found about this were all unreliable movies and novels. Qin Chu's mood couldn't be described as just heavy. Xiao Fei had spoken to him on the phone during the day, and Ian had already agreed to cooperate. He would help them search the world to find the few informants of Doomsday Reaper. On the other side in the villa. After Chin Chu finished talking to Layla didn't seem to know how to restrain herself. Ridiculous murders still happened and they were even more frequent. Seeing that the new year was approaching, Gao Ran, the director, was like an ant on a hot pan. The next morning. It was a cloudy day and light snow kept falling from the sky. Perhaps it was because the city was shrouded in smog because of the heavy pollution. This kind of weather made people feel bad. After Chin Chu finished a high-level meeting, he heard from Assistant Yang that someone was looking for him, but there was no appointment. At first, Chin Chu didn't plan to meet them. After all, such people came to disturb him every day. Later, for some reason, there was a force in his heart that made him nod. Who are the people looking for me? A woman and an old lady. Chin Chu rubbed his temples, looking a little tired. A woman and an old lady? Yeah, she looks like she's on the run. She's a bit unreliable. Assistant Yang added. Let them in my office. Chin Chu only said this calmly. Assistant Yang was stunned. When did the president become so approachable? So 10 minutes later. The old lady and the woman were brought to the president's office on the top floor. When they entered, Chin Chu felt that they looked familiar. Brother Chin Chu, do you still remember us? Assistant Yang's words didn't seem accurate. Rather than a woman, it was better to call her a young girl. This girl looked like she was only in her teens. She and the old lady were very, very old. These two were indeed dressed very sloppily. One look and one could tell that they were beggars on the street. However, after Chin Chu glanced at the girl and the old lady, he remembered. This was the pair of grandfather and grandson that he had sent people to pick up from Yunnan. This story started from when Hu Min, Su Yu and Hu Xiqian were on the run. They stayed in a guest house in a poor mountainous area for one night. At first, Chin Chu didn't know about this, because the fake Hu Min didn't even want to talk about it. After all, although the memories were shared, it was very passive. He had to use his brain to search for them. Later on, Su Yu brought up this memory. Su Yu wanted to pick up the person. After all, the person was his benefactor. Later, Chin Chu heard that Hu Mian wanted to make arrangements for them, so he decided to help his wife fulfill her wish. After Chin Chu brought the two back, they settled down very well. Even though he was busy with work and had never visited her, he treated her well when it came to food and drinks. However, perhaps the two of them were used to living a poor life and were very frugal. They didn't like to throw away their old clothes, so they were dressed so shabbily. However, Chin Chu really didn't mind this. Granny, why are you here? Chin Chu stood up politely. He didn't mind the old lady's clothes. He even politely called her Granny. Little Chin, I'm really sorry. I still like old clothes, so I'm a little embarrassed to wear them. It's okay. Take a seat. I'll get someone to pour you some tea. As he spoke, Chin Chu quickly ordered the people in the secretary's office to prepare water for the grandmother and grandson. After taking a sip of the hot tea, the old lady lowered her head and smiled. This is top-grade Qingming Longjing tea. Chapter 43-45. It's good that you like it, Granny. Drink it while it's hot. Chin Chu was still very polite. Brother Chin Chu, your place is so big and beautiful. The girl was young, so she was curious about Chin Chu's office. Chin Chu didn't say anything, but he looked at her as if she was a child. Grandma, are you and Xiaoling in some kind of trouble? Are you missing something? Chin Chu thought that the grandmother and grandson must be in trouble. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come here to look for him personally. Hearing Chin Chu's words, the old lady laughed. Brother Chin Chu, we're in trouble. Ever since you brought us to the city, we've been living in the lap of luxury. We even live in a beautiful building. I didn't even dare to dream about it. My grandma even said that she wants me to study hard and find a good husband in the future. Just like Sister Mian and you, we'll be husband and wife until our hair turns white. Ling's words made Chin Chu feel a little embarrassed. Xiaoling, I've arranged everything for the school, but it's winter break now. When school reopens in March, you can go to Rend High School. It's a newly opened private school. The environment and teachers are very good. Hey, I want to study hard. I want to get into Hong Kong University. Hearing Ling's wish, Chin Chu nodded in agreement. Yes, that's a good school. If you work hard, you'll definitely be able to do it. Grandma said that I have to study feng shui at Hong Kong University. Does Brother Chin Chu know about it? I've heard a little. The girl's words were a little unconstrained. She was a girl from the mountains who didn't know many words. The moment she opened her mouth, she wanted to go to Hong Kong University and major in feng shui. This was indeed a joke. However, Qin Chu wouldn't. Although he was cold, he wasn't someone who could laugh at other people's dreams. The girl's eyes were filled with hope and light. As she spoke, she chattered non-stop. Granny reached out and interrupted her granddaughter. Ling, stand guard outside the door. Don't let anyone in. I have something to say to Qin alone. Okay, Grandma. The girl was very obedient and listened to her grandma. Then he walked to the door and closed it. Grandma, I know you have something to tell me today. Please tell me. As long as I can help, I will definitely help. Yun Shaoling once took in my wife. Our Qin family will remember this kindness for the rest of our lives. Good child, Granny knows that you have always been grateful. But today Granny is here, not to ask for your help, but you are here to help you. Qin Chu was a little confused when old Madame Yang said that she was here to help him. Little Qin, if you trust Granny, please tell me your birth date and horoscope. I'll show you something. All right. Qin Chu almost didn't hesitate. Although it was taboo to reveal his birth characters, he didn't know why he inexplicably believed the old woman in front of him. Qin Chu wrote his birthday on a piece of A4 paper and handed it to his mother-in-law. After taking a look at the paper, the old lady held it with both hands and muttered something under her breath. It seemed to be an incantation that Qin Chu didn't understand. 10 seconds later, something strange happened. This piece of paper turned into ashes in the old lady's hands. There was no flame, but the paper silently withered. In the end, it turned into a pile of ashes. Qin Chu was dumbfounded. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Little Qin, I have a rough understanding of your destiny. Although you are destined for wealth, the first half of your life is plagued with disasters, especially when husband and wife are incompatible. When he heard the words husband and wife are incompatible, Qin Chu's eyes dimmed. I know that something has happened to your wife, Mian, and she is being controlled by someone. I also know that you have an undefeatable demon by your side. Little Qin, if you trust Granny, let me help you this time. The old lady was straightforward and got to the point. Qin Chu raised his head and looked into his mother-in-law's eyes. He couldn't believe that this seemingly inconspicuous old lady knew so many secrets in his heart. Chapter 43-46. At the same time, the twins and Tang Chuan were still on vacation in California. Tang Chuan drove a black SUV with Qin Ning sitting in the front seat. The two kids sat in the back. The trunk was filled with food and drinks, as well as some cutlery and camping tents. There's a famous town up ahead. It's said that it's beautiful at night. Let's camp here tonight. Do you have a problem with that? Tang Chuan asked the three women of the Qin family with a smile. Pudding, Little Bean, what do you think? Qin Ning could be said to be a very reliable aunt. She never made any forceful decisions. No matter what they ate, where they lived, or what they bought, she would always ask the two kids for their opinions. She was the model of a good aunt in China. Pudding, I'm fine with anything. Whatever. Pudding was a typical Buddhist girl. Her attitude was generally very peaceful. Little Bean was relatively easy to talk to. Camping? Is it fun? Will there be mosquitoes? Is it safe? What if we get kidnapped? The four of us together are billionaires. Do you think it's a good idea? Pudding glanced at her and interrupted. Little Bean, let me interrupt you. The three of us together are billionaires. We don't need to include you. After all, your savings are less than 1,000,000 yuan. To us, it's negligible and won't affect our overall wealth. Just look at you. I just want to be quiet and show off. You don't even give me the chance. Are we still good friends? No, we never were. We're sworn enemies. I think in our previous life you must have cheated me out of a lot of money and I chased after you. In the end, we both ended up in Mom's stomach, Pudding said without blinking as if she was telling the truth. Tang Chuan and Qin Ning couldn't stop laughing. Little Pudding, you're so talented. Oh my god, you two are so funny. My two babies are so talkative. They'll probably bully my sister-in-law's second child to death. After Qin Ning said this, she realized that she had said something wrong. Sure enough, the atmosphere instantly froze. Tang Chuan's expression also changed. He glanced at his wife and felt that his silly wife was too straightforward. Auntie Mommy's second baby brother is gone. Little Bean pouted. Yeah, I was wrong. I'm sorry, Qin Ning apologized. It's okay, Mommy will have more children in the future. Auntie is right, I agree with Mommy's decision to have a younger brother. After all, when Little Bean and I get married, Mommy and Daddy will have no one to take care of them. So, I hope we can have a younger brother who can help us take care of Daddy and Mommy. Qin Ning was shocked. She didn't expect Pudding to think so far ahead at such a young age. Pudding, I'm so touched by your words. It's nothing. This is what we should do. Daddy said that when we go back from our trip, the spring festival is just around the corner. He's going to take our whole family to the hot spring resort on Yunding Mountain. When I see Mommy, I'll definitely tell her what I said today. Mommy will be very happy to hear that, Little Bean said happily. Of course. I've never seen twins as considerate as you two. Ning, let's have a baby soon. They're so cute. Tang Chuan really loved children more and more, especially after he got together with Qin Ning. However, from what she said just now, he should be able to infer that she was a master who hid her figure among the people. After I'm done, little Qin, you might be a little scared. After the old woman finished speaking, the corner of her mouth revealed a somewhat strange smile. I'm not scared. Granny, just say it. I know you're here to help me. You don't have any ill intentions, so no matter who you are, I won't be surprised. Qin Chu was a person with a big imagination. He thought that even if the granny was a feng shui master, a master grave robber, or a family of witches, he would still be able to accept it. After all, people who didn't have some special skills wouldn't know so many of his secrets. After 5 seconds of silence, the old woman slowly spoke. Little Qin, have you heard of Miaojiang witchcraft? Chapter 43-49. It's okay. No matter how powerful she is, she can't do anything to me. The old woman seemed to be confident. Qin Chu made a prompt decision and immediately drove the old woman and the little girl to the villa. In the car, Qin Chu kept telling Granny and Xiaoling, you guys have to be careful when you go later. She's a very inhumane mutated clone. She's very resistant to drugs. And she's very fast. Her methods are extremely cruel. More than 10 people have died in her hands. Their hearts were all dug out and their blood was sucked dry. Most of them are children. How scary, Xiaoling said. Why don't you wait in the car, Xiaoling? Granny and I will go in. I'm afraid she'll target you. During this period of time, Qin Chu had discovered a strange phenomenon when he imprisoned Layla. Layla did not like to attack adults. She liked to attack children or young people like young people. The bodyguards he sent to guard Layla were all safe. Firstly, it was because the bodyguards were older. Secondly, it was probably because Layla had not thought of a position yet, so she did not openly provoke Qin Chu's people. However, Qin Chu couldn't guarantee that she wouldn't suddenly attack the little girl Ling. After all, she was so fast that it was probably too late to stop her. It's okay, brother Qin Chu. Don't worry. My grandma has a way to deal with her. Xiaoling seemed to be confident and trusted her grandmother very much. Seeing that she and Granny did not say anything, Qin Chu did not say anything else. When Qin Chu and the others came in, Layla was wearing a bathrobe and teasing one of the good-looking bodyguards. The male bodyguard stood very straight and did not dare to move. Layla's slender hand brushed across his chest, slowly groping. How boring. Come and play. I'll make you feel so comfortable that you'll become a god. Layla's voice was extremely seductive, but the bodyguard did not dare. Outsiders did not know and always thought that this was President Qin's wife. If something happened with his boss's woman, wouldn't he be dead meat? Ever since Hua Xiqian died, Layla had been lacking a male partner to sleep with. This caused her already high desire to burn like a raging fire, and her thirst was unbearable. Therefore, after being ignored by Qin Chu, she targeted Su Yu. Originally, she wanted to be seduced by Su Yu and sleep with him. Who knew that before she could make a move, Qin Chu would start negotiating with her. As for whether or not to agree to Qin Chu's conditions, of course not. Not only did she not want to cooperate with Qin Chu, but she also passed on Qin Chu's original words to Linya. Linya seemed to be quite dissatisfied with Qin Chu's action of sowing discord. Although she didn't say anything, Layla felt that Linya wouldn't let this man live in the end. President Qin, When the bodyguards saw their boss, they hurriedly greeted him. Chapter 4350. Unexpectedly, Granny remained calm, but she closed her eyes and started chanting some unknown incantation. In just an instant, something miraculous happened. Layla suddenly let go of Ling's neck and screamed. Then her hands trembled as she ran around the living room crazily. Ling, on the other hand, looked at Granny as if nothing had happened. "Granny, this demon's hands are cold. It must be because the Een energy on her is too strong." "Granny, this..." The grandmother and granddaughter knew what was going on, but Qin Chu didn't understand. He didn't know why, but the monster that was strangling Ling's neck suddenly let go and ran around the living room screaming. Ling turned her head and explained to Qin Chu. "Brother Qin Chu, this demon was under my grandma's illusion. He thought I was a ball of fire. Once a person is under the illusion, they will be in the same place. She really felt that her hand was burning, so she ran around crazily." "I see." Qin Chu was enlightened, but at the same time he was also surprised by Granny's illusion. Although Qin Chu didn't know much about Miaojiang's witchcraft, he felt that this Granny wasn't as simple as an ordinary witch. Seeing that Layla was almost tortured, the old lady chanted a few more incantations and instantly dispelled the illusion. Layla panted heavily and fell onto the sofa. Then she reacted and looked at the old lady and the little girl with hostility. "Who are you? We should be the ones asking you that, demon. Where did you come from? Who told you to come and kill innocent people?" Ling was young and couldn't hold it in anymore. She pointed at Layla and scolded her. Especially when she heard that she had killed many people, she was furious. As for the Ministry of Public Security, in order to appease the public, they didn't reveal the real number of deaths. It wasn't Jingda's fault. After all, Jingda did have some traces of the original owner, so even if he drank blood, he only killed some cats and dogs. Layla was a ruthless character after she came to this city. From beginning to end, more than 20 people, including adults, children, men and women, had been killed. Gao Ran had always felt guilty. Later, when he heard from Qin Chu that there was a way, he felt a little better. Qin Chu never dared to tell Gao Ran the whole truth. After all, the police were all humans. No matter how good they were, they couldn't beat a monster. Therefore, in order to prevent innocent people from dying, Qin Chu decided to take the risk and put Layla under house arrest. Of course, house arrest didn't work on Layla at all. She was still as evil as ever. "Hee, so what? What can you do to me?" Layla's tone was still arrogant. Her mother-in-law didn't say anything and just looked at her quietly. Layla looked at Qin Chu again and said, "You're really a good-for-nothing. You can't deal with me by yourself, so you asked for help." Chapter 4351. Unexpectedly, the old lady waved her hand and a thick white smoke rose. It instantly blocked Layla's vision. Only Layla could see the thick white smoke. It was indeed an illusion, a very powerful illusion. Even someone as fast as Layla was easily blocked by her. After Qin Chu left with his men, Layla was still gesturing and shouting in the living room, "Old woman, if you have the guts, don't use any sorcery. I'll dig out your heart and pull out your tendons." The bodyguards were also dumbfounded. In their opinion, this woman was crazy. Why was she howling in the living room? After walking out, before Qin Chu could say anything, Granny spoke. "Little Qin, don't worry. This woman isn't a food-eating monster at all. She's been using human blood to quench her thirst and her hunger to quench her hunger. I used an illusion to trap her for 3 days. She won't be able to see anything during these 3 days. Moreover, she won't be able to go out and do evil, let alone contact her base." "Thank you, Granny." Qin Chu was relieved to hear that this woman couldn't go out and do evil for the time being. "Brother Qin Chu, don't worry. Even if the illusion disappears in 3 days, she won't be able to continue doing evil. Just now, my grandma has already gotten her hair in blood. When she gets home, she'll start casting spells to control her." "That powerful?" Qin Chu had long heard of the high-end witchcraft spells in Miaojiang. They could use a strand of hair or a drop of blood to control a person's body and mind. It seemed to be true. Yes, when she attacked Ling, I came into close contact with her and easily got her hair. As for the blood, I have to thank my little guy. It helped me get it without anyone noticing. Chu lowered his head and saw that a very small bug had appeared in Granny's hand. It was black and crawled back and forth in her palm. It made one's scalp tingle. Anyway, thank you, Granny. It's fine. Didn't I say that since I'm willing to help you, there's no need to thank me? After saying this, Granny seemed to remember something else and said to Chu, after I finish the ritual in 3 days, I'll control this demon. Little Chin, come to my place and look for me. I'm going to cast a spell on you to help you find your wife. Is that okay? Chu was very excited when he heard that he could find Mion. Yes, but during the process of casting the goo, you'll have to endure some extraordinary pain. Are you willing? I'm willing. Let's not talk about this anymore. As long as I can find my wife, I'm willing to give up my life. Chu had made up his mind. To him, Mion was more important than his life. Xiaoling could not help but sigh. Big brother Chu, you're so good to big sister. I believe that someone as good as big sister will definitely be able to return safely. Xiaoling recalled that when they were in the mountains, Huamin had spoken to her gently when she was pregnant. She still felt that Huamin was the most gentle woman she had met in the city. She never put on airs and never looked down on others. Such a person should not fall into the hands of the bad guys. After driving Granny and Xiaoling to their place, Chu felt much more relaxed. Granny's appearance was like a blessing from the heavens, solving all his worries. He immediately called Xiao Fei and told him to relax. After all, if he found Huamin, he would be able to find Lu Yan. Then Chu drove to a place that he had not dared to set foot in for a long time. Chapter 43-52. Lexian's ramen. It was afternoon when Chu arrived. There were not many people in the noodle shop after lunch. Now that the students were on winter break, business was not as good as before. However, the owner insisted on opening the shop and only closed it on New Year's Eve. When he saw Chu, the owner greeted him warmly. Mr. Chin, long time no see. It's long time no see. Chu walked in, took off his deerskin gloves and sat in the corner. Where's your wife? The owner knew that Mr. Chin and Mrs. Chin were inseparable. They came together almost every time. They ate a bowl of hot beef ramen. My wife went on a trip. She must have gone abroad. I haven't seen her in a long time. Yes, she went abroad for a long time. After Huamin was switched in Yunnan, he had not returned for a long time. Chu told the owner that his wife had gone on a long-distance trip to comfort himself. Same old, one big bowl of beef ramen? No, 2 bowls. Can you finish 2 bowls? The owner was slightly startled. Yes, I can finish it. I'll eat 1 bowl for my wife, Chu said. Hearing this, the owner laughed loudly. His laughter was extremely hearty. You two are really interesting. When you two were dating, you were still students and often came together. Later on, when you went abroad to study, your wife often came alone. Later on, when you came back and got married, the 2 of you came again. Later on, you seemed to be in poor health and went abroad to recuperate for about 3 or 4 years. Your wife came alone, sometimes with your twin daughters. When you recovered and came back, the 2 of you came together again. Now that your wife has gone on a trip, you come alone again. Yes, we're husband and wife. We're going to be together for the rest of our lives. Chu had a blissful smile on his face. This kind of smile only appeared when he mentioned Huamin. Let me tell you, when you were recuperating overseas, every time your wife came, she would order 2 bowls and say that she would eat 1 for you. Did the 2 of you discuss this beforehand? The shopkeeper's words made Chu have mixed feelings. His hands trembled slightly. My wife, did she say the same thing? Yeah, it's the same as what you said. Okay, I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going to cook some noodles for you. Eat them while they're hot. The boss was a warm-hearted person. He chatted with Chu for a while. He hurriedly went into the kitchen to cook noodles. Chu looked at the familiar environment and the familiar school across from him. The only thing missing was that familiar voice. At this moment, Pudding sent a video call. Chu didn't want to take the phone because he didn't want the kids to see his melancholy face. However, he was afraid that Pudding would think too much. After all, she was a meticulous child. Therefore, after thinking for a while, he still picked up the call. Pudding. Daddy. Pudding called out sweetly. You're eating noodles at Axian's? Pudding immediately recognized the setting behind her daddy. Yes. Do you miss mommy? Pudding was almost certain that the person at home wasn't her mommy. Otherwise, if her mommy was here, her daddy would never come to Oxen's ramen alone to eat. Yeah. Chin-Chu nodded. Sis misses home a little tonight. He misses you and mommy. She's a little moody tonight, so Auntie and Uncle Tang went to comfort her and tell her stories. What about you? I took the opportunity to run to the balcony and video call Daddy. Chin-Chu smiled. Daddy, the scenery in California is very beautiful. You and Mommy have been here before, right? Yes, she also likes Hotel California, Chin-Chu said. Then when Mommy has a younger brother in the future, the 5 of us can come to California again, okay? You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.